And, things hadn't gone as well as we'd like for them the last few weeks. So, we just think this is a good opportunity for him to watch. And, I think Jacoby, being the professional that he is and really playing the way he has really going to give, I think, Sam an opportunity to see some things and see how the offense goes. And I think it'll help him.
Is this for both the last 2 games or just Sunday?
We'll see how everything goes. But I think Jacoby's proven, that he is a very, very viable player in this league. And having him around has been, I think, excellent for Sam. He's really stood by Sam and helped Sam out a lot. And I think this is another way for him to help Sam continue his growth.
No, we asked you sort of this the other day, but what do you see as sort of a primary reason why Sam has taken a step back?
Well, I just think right now things just, hadn't gone the way we'd like them to. And I think part of it, too, may be the fact that he's played a lot of football this year, going from one situation to the other. And it's been hard, tough football. And I think this is, an opportunity for him to take a breath.
And you touched on this a little the other day, but obviously he's taken a lot of sacks, a lot of hits over the course of the year. Did you see over the last couple of weeks a player who maybe, I think you referenced this, like maybe seeing things that weren't there because of that accumulation?
All right, first of all, that was you who said that. I just responded to the question that you had asked.
Well, then do you see that?
But I had seen that. And again, this is really about him being able to continue to learn, and I think this is a good opportunity.
What do you make of Jacoby's just kind of demeanor throughout the year and just kind of how he's handled the entire situation and being able to step in the last couple of games?
The truth is the word's professional. I mean, he's as good a quarterback, veteran quarterback, backup quarterback, and a guy that plays and is a starting quarterback in this league, type quality player.
You have seen quarterbacks who have faltered, right, and come back. Jacoby said it on Sunday. I'm looking so forward to what Sam's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
What is the big key for a quarterback to make that transition so that this doesn't take place?
Well, I just think it's about learning and understanding and continue to develop and grow.
What was the conversation with Sam like, and kind of how did he take it?
It was a good conversation. He's competitive. He wants to play. But, I told him that I just felt this was a good situation for him to take a breath.
14 games, how would you, 15 rather, how would you grade or view Sam's performance this season?
I think Sam has had some pretty good opportunities and has some pretty good moments. And I think there's been some good moments where he's learned a lot. And I think there's some moments where he's had to take a couple lumps. But he's a resilient player, solid young man who's I think has a bright future in this league. I really do. And I think he's a guy who can play quarterback in the NFL and do it well and do it at a high level. He's shown us some really good things. And, as I said, this is something I feel and talking to EB and Tavita that this is something, that we think is going to be a chance for him to take a breath.
Seems like the team really likes Sam and wants him to succeed. How did the rest of the team take the news?
Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, there's a full day of practice, and we'll go from there.
Earlier this season, you mentioned, the culture and finding the quarterback. How does this change your perspective there?
It doesn't. It doesn't. I think this is part of the growth. If we played better and did some things better, and we're all culpable in this situation too. This is not an indictment on Sam or how my feelings towards Sam has changed in terms of I really do think this guy can be a really good quarterback in this league. I really do. But I also think that sometimes when things get tough and get hard, and this has been a long year for everybody. I think this is a chance for him to take a breath. I really do.
When you say we're all culpable, what would you change, or what do you think could have been different?
I'm not going to get into that. Okay, we're talking about a player, and we got to actually have a game to start getting ready for. So we'll talk about that.
How cognizant were you throughout the season of just Sam's confidence level as he was taking hits and kind of his play was sort of declining?
I try to check in with him every week, talk with him whenever I got a chance, see how he was doing. And he's such a positive-minded, strong-willed young man that he seemed to handle those situations pretty good. And maybe this is just me wanting to take care of him, and make sure he does get a chance to just reflect.
He does seem pretty poised back there. Could you sense the frustration building?
I think the hardest thing more than anything else is that, again, things didn't go the way that we had wanted them to. And certain situations come up, and I think this is a good chance for him to take a breath.
Quarterback changes are a big deal. Did you talk with ownership on this one?
I let the ownership know what I was going to do. Yes.
Full support, they understood?
Well, I think the big thing everybody has to understand is that they've been very supportive of everything that we have done so far.
Did you see the cumulative toll, or how did you see the cumulative toll of the hits and the sacks and all that weigh on him in his play?
Well, again, as I said, we'll get into that once the season's over and talk about the evaluations going forward. All right?
Going back to Jacoby and sort of his mentorship of Sam, he said post-game that he hopes Sam sort of leans on him during this time.
Yep.
Have you seen that? Have you seen him?
Oh, yeah. Very much so. I mean, I'll tell you right now, when I was, in my previous stint in Carolina, when we drafted Cam Newton, the first pick, we wanted to find a veteran guy, and we didn't find the right guy until we found Derek Anderson in that summer going into camp. And when DA came out, it was about as tremendous a mentorship that I'd ever seen. Well, this one might be better. I mean, it's amazing to watch the professionalism which Jacoby does things. It really does. And I think what we've seen in the last 2 weeks is just him, being there and studying along with Sam. I think it really has helped him as well. And, I see Jacoby as a very viable player in this league. All right. Thank you, guys.